Hello everybody, and welcome back to our quick look. Today we are looking at the Engineer. The Engineer is a weird class to get used to because positioning and kiting is key, even for a DPS build. The only thing I was bad at when I started the Engineer was trying to organize keys to get easier access to the F1 through F4 abilities. They're handy, but just too many buttons for me to keep up with. Engineers are good against Warriors, Guardians, Elementalists, and Rangers. Warriors are very kiteable, but very tanky, so conditioning damage is key unless you want an endless fight. If you are not, just avoid them so you don't eventually get teamed up on. Guardians are also very tanky, and up close they have heavy crowd control, so keep your distance and make sure you have enough damage so you can't just heal it back. Elementalists are up close damage dealers for the most part, so being able to keep away from them is key, but if they grab a hold of you, try to knock them back and keep the chase going. Rangers is the same, but they only have 2 to 3 crowd control abilities, so keeping your distance shouldn't be a problem. On the off chance you meet a ranger with a bow, just try to pull him into a minefield to keep up with his damage. Their range damage is high, just isn't used that often, but you might be screwed if they happen to have it. It is a lot of damage. Engineers are weak to heavy condition damage from range classes like Necromancers and maybe Mesmers, while Thief could sneak in and out of battle and do massive damage that counters Engineers that work down their opponents at a slower rate. Now let's look at what roles Engineer can fill. First up we have the condition damage spec. This build focuses on burning and bleeding effects the Engineer are good at stacking while keeping them tanky enough to kite for a while. For weapons I use Pistol Shield. This allows me to stun and blind my foes while I stack bleeds in them for great condition damage. I also like having the flamethrower ability to add some burning to the damage. It is a surprisingly devastating build if you can kite someone around or just to help teammates win a losing battle. The supply crate can also help you hold your ground in a 2v1 situation, allowing for additional damage and healing. Once you master all your abilities and skill rotations, Engineer is an easy damage profession, and I think a lot of people will like this type of build. The second role an Engineer can fill is the stay off my point build. This build relies on being tanky and knocking everyone off your point. I like to use the rifle as my weapon for knockback and immobilize to keep enemies at bay as you wait for the rest of your team. Your first objective is using jump shot to get yourself on the point, then switch to flamethrower or use battering ram to knock enemies away, allowing you to capture the point. Set up camp with supply crate and use flamethrower to set the place ablaze. If you have trouble taking too much damage, spec into the Juggernaut trait to gain more toughness while using the flamethrower. It might not be as good, but that's up to you. I don't know, you might also try Pistol Shield for better tankiness, and using Battering Ram and Flamethrower for knockback. There's also a possibility to use Mines to keep enemies from even wanting to come near you in the first place. Seriously, those things hurt. This build requires some tinkering, but it's always an option. As for the last option, we see how the Engineer fits into the support role. The Engineer has a great support kit. It has over 8 ways to heal allies, and turrets to immobilize enemies your teammates are chasing. The weapons I like for this build are dual pistols. They have blind, confusion, and AoE immobilize, but rifle is also good for its immobilize, knockback, and getaway leap. Either way, your abilities are the most important part of your build. The support Engineer's job is to get a net turret into the middle of battle, plant bombs for healing effects and damage, and then use the elixir gun to weaken enemies and heal allies. In between battles or when you see fit, use the healing kit to patch up your teammates. As for the elite skill, I think either supply crate or mortar is your best bet. I don't know how effective the mortar is, so that debate may already be settled. I like this role for Engineers because they are already good at staying out of battle, and their tools can be left in the middle of battle for when the time is right. I highly recommend you remember this as an option for your possible team compositions. Alright everybody, that about does it for the quick look at the Engineer. This was probably the biggest surprise to see how good this profession was. I thought it was going to be like the Mesmer, confusing and highly skill oriented. But the Engineer's tools allow you to be very adaptable and strong in every aspect. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to click the subscribe button below for information on upcoming videos. Thank you everybody, I'll see you next time.